Welcome to the Unit 7 review. Today I'm going to go through the odds, starting with number 1. You can look at the first equation and see that that is in slope-intercept form, so we'll start at -8. My slope on this one is going to be 4, which means up 4 over 1. And this one, because we don't have an inequality, these are just straight lines. And then on the second one, I'm going to use the cover-up method. So I'm going to set up my parentheses first. If x is 0, 3 times something equals -9, that would be -3. And if y is 0, 3 times something is -9. That one's also going to be -3. So I start with 0 and go -3. And then I go so I got 0, -3, and -3, 0. Okay, here's my line. And according to my drawing, it looks like we cross at 1, -4. Now how you would check that is you would plug it back into the original equation. I'm going to go with the top one. I get -4 equals 4 times 1, which is just 4, minus 8. -4 is equal to 4 minus 8 is -4. So I know that this is the solution. Let's take a look at number 3. On number 3, I'm going to use substitution. This one seems to be set up pretty nicely for me since I have y equals 8 minus 3x. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to substitute it into the other equation for y. So I would have 4x plus 6 parentheses. Now I'm plugging in 8 minus 3x equals 6. I'm going to have 4x. Do the distributive. I would get 6 times 8 is 48. And 6 times a -3x would be -18x equals 6. 4x and a -18x, these like terms, are going to give me -14x. 48 minus 14x equals 6. Minus 48 from both sides. It gives me -14x is equal to -42. Divide both sides by -14. I get x is equal to -3. Then I'm going to plug it back in. I'm going to go into, that doesn't matter, let's go to the top equation. Y equals 8, and then I have a -3 times -3, which would be plus 9. That gives me y equals 17. On to number 5. We can use linear combination on this one. And I think what I'm going to do on this one is just multiply the bottom by, let's multiply the bottom by -1. So I would get -x minus 3y equals -15. Now when I go and combine it with the top equation, I'd get -7x. My y's would cancel, and I would get -21. Divide both sides by -7. I get x is equal to +3. Now I have to plug it back in. This time I'm going to go to the bottom equation. So that would give me 3 plus 3y equals 15. Minus 3 from both sides. That gives me 3y equals 12. Divide by 3. My y is going to equal 4. 3, 4 would be my answer. Let's take a look at number 7. Number 7 is asking us to solve. We can use whatever method that we want. I'm going to use combination. So on the top I'm going to multiply by 2. And I'm doing that to try and get rid of my x's. So 2 times -3x would be -6x. 2 times y would be a +2y. And 2 times 18 would be negative 36. On the bottom, I've got 6x minus 2y equals negative 32. When I go and combine them, my x's go away, my y's also go away. And what I'm left with is 0 equals negative 68. When you get something like this that doesn't make sense, this is a no solution. Let's take a look at number 9. On number 9, they're asking us to write and solve for each story problems. This takes us back to our applications. You buy 6 bags of wild bird feed to fill your feeder in your yard. Oyster shell grits cost $4 a bag, and sunflower seeds are $4.45 a bag. You spend $25.80 on bird food. How many bags of each did you buy? So our setup is oyster shells for $4 a bag, so I'm going to go 40. That looks like 40. 40, and sunflower seeds, so 4.45 S. And since we're talking about money here, it's going to be $25.80. And then on the bottom equation, I've got O for my bags of oyster shells, plus my S, which is my sunflower seeds. And in total, it is six total bags. So now we have to figure out how to solve this. I'm going to use combination again, so I'm going to take the bottom, and I'm actually going to multiply by negative 4. So I'd get negative 4 O minus 4 S equals a negative 24. Now I can combine them. My O's get eliminated. I come up with 0.45 S is equal to, and when I combine the 2580 and my negative 24, I'm going to get 180. Divide by 0.45 on both sides, and I get S is equal to, we get 4, and we know that there's a total of 6 bags, so if 4 of them were sunflower seeds, that means that 2 of them has to be the oyster shell grit. Alright, let's take a look at number 11. Number 11, the first equation is already set up for us in slope-intercept form. I'd go down to negative 6, and then I'm going to go up 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And looking at this line, we should have a dashed line. Then I have to figure out which side to shade, so I'm going to test 0, 0. I get 0 is greater than negative 6, and that is true. So I'm going to shade the left side. To graph the second equation, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the cover-up method. So I'm going to make my parentheses. So I have x is equal to 0 and y equals 0. So when x is equal to 0, I get the opposite of something equals positive 4. Well, that's got to be the opposite of negative 4. And then when my y is 0, x is equal to 4. So I'm going to go over 0 down 4, put a dot, and then over 4 up 0. So my line is going to be a solid line that goes like that. Now I just have to figure out which line to shade. So to figure out the shading, I'm going to plug in 0, 0 into this equation. So I would get 0 minus 0 is 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to 4? And the answer is no. 0 is not greater than or equal to 4. So I'm going to shade on the other side. So the other side would be this side. And where do these two overlap? The two overlap in this area. So my answer is kind of this triangle shape right here. Number 13, when you solve a system of linear equations by graphing, there are three things that can happen. Describe what those three situations are, include in your description what the lines could look like, and how it affects many solutions the system can have. So we have one situation. So one situation is that the lines intersect. And what that looks like in my drawing would be something like that. How many solutions? You just have one solution. And the solution is the intersection. Okay? The second thing that can happen is parallel lines. And parallel lines are equidistant and they go on forever and they never cross. How many solutions? We have no solution. No solution. The third situation is that they are the same line. Okay? And how many solutions do you have when they're the same line? There are infinitely many solutions. One other thing that I want to point out, since we can do it right here, is that when you use combination, if you have one solution, you're going to get something like x equals 2 and y equals -4. Something like that, where you get an x value and a y value. When you use combination and you have parallel lines, what you get is something that doesn't make sense. 9 equals 24. That would be an example of no solution. And on the last one, for infinitely many solutions, when you do combination, you get something that totally makes sense. Something like 8 equals 8, or 0 equals 0. All right, that completes the odds of the review. Good luck on your test.